The night was inky black, and a shroud of mist clung to the road ahead. The dim glow of my car's headlights struggled to pierce the thick fog that wrapped around me, casting eerie shadows on the desolate highway. I was on a late-night drive, hoping to escape the chaos of everyday life, but what awaited me in the dark was something far more sinister than the stresses I had left behind. As I cruised down the winding road, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The silence inside the car was palpable, broken only by the occasional creak of leather seats or the soft hum of the engine. I pressed my foot down on the accelerator, hoping to reach the safety of my destination as soon as possible. But the road seemed to stretch endlessly into the abyss, and the trees lining either side of the highway appeared to be whispering secrets to one another. My knuckles whitened as I gripped the steering wheel, my heart pounding in my chest. The fog thickened, making it impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. I knew I should have turned back, found a place to rest for the night, but I couldn't bring myself to admit defeat to the unnerving darkness that surrounded me. I glanced at the GPS on the dashboard. Its screen displayed nothing but a flickering static pattern, a glitch in the matrix of my electronic world. The absence of a guiding voice was unsettling, as if the machine itself had abandoned me in this desolate place. My gas gauge dropped below a quarter tank, and I began to panic. The last thing I needed was to run out of fuel in the middle of nowhere. My only option was to press on, hoping to find a gas station or some sign of civilization in this lonely stretch of road. But the further I drove, the more I felt like I was descending into a world of darkness that had no end. The silence was broken by the distant rumble of thunder. I looked up at the sky, and the clouds above swirled in chaotic patterns. Lightning illuminated the night, briefly revealing the towering trees on either side of the road, their branches clawing at the sky. The thunderclap that followed sent shivers down my spine. My headlights flickered, and for a moment, the road ahead was plunged into darkness. Panic coursed through me as I wrestled with the steering wheel, trying to maintain control of the car. The lights flickered again, and then, with a sudden jolt, they died completely. The car rolled to a stop, engulfed in the suffocating fog. I cursed under my breath, fumbling for my phone in the darkness. The screen illuminated my trembling hands, and I dialed the number for roadside assistance, my voice shaky as I explained my predicament. The dispatcher promised to send a tow truck, but it would be hours before they could reach me. Feeling vulnerable and alone, I decided to get out of the car to assess the situation. The fog was so thick that I could barely see the hood of my car, let alone any landmarks. My only source of light was the faint, intermittent flashes of lightning, which cast eerie, distorted shadows on the road. I heard a strange sound, like a whisper carried on the wind. I strained my ears to listen, and it came again, closer this time. "Help me," it hissed, a mournful and chilling cry. My heart raced as I turned to face the source of the sound. A figure emerged from the fog, its form indistinct and shifting. It moved toward me with an unnatural grace, a silent and spectral presence. My breath caught in my throat, and I stumbled backward, my pulse pounding in my ears. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice barely audible over the howling wind. The figure drew closer, and as the lightning flashed once again, I saw its face, or what used to be a face. It was a hollowed-out visage, a mask of pain and despair. Its eyes were empty voids, and its mouth contorted in a grotesque, silent scream. I wanted to run, but my legs felt like lead. The figure reached out a translucent, skeletal hand toward me, and I could see through it as if it were made of mist. I could feel the frigid chill radiating from it, and it passed through me like a jolt of electricity. "Help me," it repeated, the words filled with an otherworldly agony. Terror gripped me as I realized that I was face to face with a restless spirit. My heart hammered in my chest, and I knew I had to get back to the safety of my car. With a surge of adrenaline, I turned and sprinted toward the vehicle, flinging myself inside and locking the doors. The figure outside continued to moan and reach out with its ghostly hands, but it couldn't penetrate the metal and glass that separated us. I watched in horror as it circled the car, its face pressed against the window, its form flickering in and out of existence. Time stretched into an eternity as I sat there, my phone clutched in my trembling hand. The dispatch center assured me that the tow truck was on its way, but the minutes dragged on like hours. The spectral figure outside never left, and its mournful wails continued to send shivers down my spine. I felt a creeping dread as I realized that the fog had thickened around the car, obscuring all sight of the outside world. I was trapped in this nightmarish limbo, with no way of knowing when help would arrive. The car suddenly rocked, and I screamed as the figure slammed its form against the vehicle. It was as if it were trying to break through, to reach me with its icy grasp. My heart raced, and I prayed for the tow truck to arrive soon. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the figure retreated, fading back into the fog. I watched in terror as it disappeared from view, leaving me in a silence broken only by the occasional rumble of thunder. I don't know how much time passed before the tow truck finally arrived, its flashing lights cutting through the fog like a beacon of salvation. The driver, a burly man with a weathered face, helped me into the cab, and we watched as my car was loaded onto the back of the truck. As we drove away from that nightmarish stretch of road, I couldn't help but look back at the fog-shrouded darkness. I knew that I had encountered something beyond explanation, something that would haunt my dreams for years to come. The driver looked at me with a knowing glint in his eye and said, "You're lucky to be out of there. There are some places on this earth where the boundary between the living and the dead is thin, and that road is one of them." I shivered, my thoughts haunted by the spectral figure in the fog. I knew that I had escaped something truly malevolent, and I could only hope that I would never have to face it again. But the memory of that night would forever linger in the darkest corners of my mind, a chilling reminder of the terrors that lurk in the depths of the night.